Good. Let's just start it if you are ready.
Ready.
Very good. So first of all, thank you very much for giving us your time. It was really great for us to, first of all, have you here. And considering all the problems and the situations that makes all of us into, let's just say, call a special time. So it's another thank you on top of it. So if you don't mind, just
nice to
introduce yourself, and then I will take it from there.
It's nice to be invited. Thank you very much.
So if you can just tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I'm Karol Żbikowski. I'm CEO of Platige Image, a Polish post-production, animation, and film studio based in Warsaw. And although my career didn't start in filmmaking, I studied in Warsaw School of Economics, and I graduated from Foreign Trade Department in 1995, and that was like the beginnings of market economy in Poland, and everything was booming. So as a lot of my friends, I went to investment banking, and I joined Bank Handlowy, which was one of the largest Polish banks at that time, which became part of Citibank later on. And at that time, the stock exchange was like a real phenomenon and everyone dreamt about working as a stockbroker. So I did that. I was a stockbroker, and from Bank Handlowy, I moved to Soc Gen, Societe Generale, the French bank, which was opening its branch, investment banking branch in Warsaw. After 2 years, I became CEO of Societe Generale Securities Polska. In the early 90s, these careers were possible, yes. You could become 20-year-old CEO. Maybe it's not so easy today. And I continued my career in investment banking until 2008. Being an investment banker, I started to work on supervisory boards as non-executive director of supervisory board of listed Polish companies. And that gave me a big insight into management and in different types of companies. And in 2008, that was the financial crisis. The investment banking market was not very active. I've received a proposal to become a board member in largest Polish publishing house, which was Wydawnictwa Szkolne i Pedagogiczne. This was a school books publisher, but also publisher of children's books. I took this proposal, I accepted this proposal, and it was a great time for me. I liked this job very much. This was a restructuring project, but we quickly brought the company to profitability, and we started to regain the market share. At the same time, I was responsible for turning this paper-oriented company into a technology-oriented content provider, and so this was very fascinating time, and this was my first, maybe not first contact, but it was my a regular job on content creation, and I liked it very, very much. And then the company was acquired by the private equity fund in 2011. So then I created my and I created my own startup in loyalty programs. It was a almost successful project. We broke even, but finally we didn't reach agreement with the investor, and the project was stopped at one point. But in the meantime, I'll also continued my my work in the supervisory board of large Polish companies. So for some time, I was very active non-executive director in a couple of big Polish companies from different sectors. One day I received a proposal to be a non-executive board member in Platige Image, and the company was seeking for a CEO. And after a short cooperation with the founders, I got a proposal to become the CEO of the company.
So it usually takes
so
you
I'm
1
here.
week to be the CEO.
Not really. It was a long, long way, of course.
Okay. Like one of the things that it was very interesting.
Of course, like these early 90s careers and early 90s needs of Polish economy really allowed for very quick careers, and at the same time you were receiving a proposal which of course it's difficult to receive today as a 20-something. Yeah.
What was this whole story in SGH back in your time, that all of their graduates right now, they're in the top positions and they're so successful?
Well, SGH, it was a very good school, and it is. And my department, foreign trade department, even at the communist times, it was really teaching real economics, and the school was really preparing people to manage companies, or to work in real economy. So I would say there was always discussion if it's a economic university or a business school. So for sure, like foreign trade department, it was more a business school. I would say it was a very good business school, and a lot of my friends from my year, they occupy CEO's positions. I even counted my friends who became CEOs of stock exchange listed companies, and there were almost 20 of them.
Wow.
And still SGH is a very strong franchise, of course, in education.
Where do you think that was the end of it? Like, do you still feel like, is it something that people and students have to take a look at that as an option, or you think that time is already passed?
You mean the SGH or at early in the 90s, it was quite expensive to go and seek for foreign education in Poland. Yes, so you didn't have a lot of choice. Of course, there were some programs like Erasmus or other programs, but they were of course limited to certain number of people. Until let's say joining EU, studying in SGH was the only option. Maybe not the only, but it was the option to get a very good education. When Poland started to catch up with the level of income, and people started to afford to go abroad and go to good universities, and of course today's graduates of Polish grammar schools, they have a choice either to study in Poland or to study anywhere in European Union. Of course, a lot depends on the wealth of their parents, yes, and financing the education. But of course, the situation is completely different than in the 90s. And so I believe that a lot of skilled or a lot of smart people study abroad today. Smart people from...
So it's like most of those people that used to be in one place, right now they're in different locations. Okay.
Yes, you know, my daughter is 20, for example, yes, and she studies in London. And I know that a lot of her friends from Warsaw, one of the Warsaw secondary schools, are studying in London as well. So that's a completely different story than 20 years ago.
But would you recommend it?
You know, I think I always recommend changing your environment.
Okay.
It's really something best for your development, and no matter if you go to UK or Croatia or Ukraine, you can study. But I think it's good to study abroad. It's good to study abroad. And just to meet people and meet different cultures, and just to be challenged, and just to be taken from your like standard path, planned maybe by your parents, for example. So yes, I recommend it. I recommend studying abroad.
And how about the jumping from like academia to a real work, like to a corporation? Was it somehow the university's role, or it was your personal initiative?
You know, when I was a student, it was very, very popular to start your work still being at university. So I like started my regular job in Bank Handlowy on my 4th year. So it was like I still had 1.5 years. So I was working like 2 days a week first, and then 3 days a week. And on my 5th year, probably I was working like 4 days a week. That was possible. Of course, the banks or the brokerage house I was working in, they were offering this possibility, as they were looking for young people who could speak languages and who could build the organization.
Okay.
So it was relatively easy for me to like switch from academia to work, because it was really. I even didn't notice that when I I noticed that because when I was already working very hard, I had some problems, but it was like a lack of time to write my master's thesis because I was too much engaged in a daily work already. So I had to take a holiday break and write my master's thesis.
What was it about, if you remember?
Well, actually, my master's thesis was about capital markets.
Okay.
So at that time, I was like fully devoted to capital markets. I still follow the markets, of course, and a lot of my friends work there, and we talk about the markets, about the stock exchange. So of course, I follow the stock exchange all the time.
So let's just say, starting as a financier and working in finance, how did you did you feel comfortable somehow switching first to somehow like a publication and more managerial point of view, and later to something far more creative?
You know, even in the financial institutions, I really I was really a manager. I was, of course, I studied finance. I knew I knew numbers well. I know finance well, but I was like really my career was in management, because from the very beginning in Bank Handlowy, I was quickly promoted to manage a 15-person team of sales traders, and I became the head of sales trading, and then so even working in financial institutions, I was really a manager, and which was exactly in line with my education, because I was at the foreign trade department studying managerial skills, I would say, and so that was a natural path for me, and at the same time, I was very deep in technology. The technologies has always been my hobby. I'm a gadget maniac, and at the same time, as I was really consuming the culture, I would say. So watching a lot of movies and really following what's going on the in new technologies with content creation. So when I got the proposal from the publishing house, I even didn't think a minute. I really that was I would say the job of my dreams. Although I had my career in finance, I was really thinking of something like more connected to creation, to content creation, and.
So you were writing, you were publishing the book for schools.
It was very, very nice content creation, because it was like these were children's books, books for children, and textbooks, and games, videos, everything connected with K-12 education. So for schools.
How old is Platige Image? Because it was
Platige Image Platige Image is 22 years old.
Wow.
23. It was founded in 97. So it's 22, 23.
What really brought Platige Image on the map?
The lack of there were two factors. The economy was booming. So the advertising sector was booming as well, and a lot of marketing and advertising agencies opened in Warsaw, and of course they wanted to shoot commercials here, but there were no post-production services in Warsaw, and everything offered in London or for like something from advanced markets was very, very expensive. So there was a clear gap here, and the founders they at the very beginning they were producing music videos, and it's not so far from music videos to commercials, and at one point they also gathered, like I would say, real maniacs of computer graphics, and who created really stunning videos. They were winning a lot of music video contests at that time. We still have a lot of statuettes on our shelves here in Platige Image, and very quickly we switched into commercials post-production, so special effects and VFX for commercials, and this market was growing like crazy. So this was the time to start and to launch this kind of business.
And like, do you remember like one of those like very unique things that you made and it became viral somehow?
Yes, there were a couple of, there was something which is quite old, but it was extremely popular.
Okay.
It was one of the commercials in Polish is a łyżka na to niemożliwa. I cannot even describe it. It was about a spoon which says something about the food, and it became viral, and it became like to be used in a common language. But one of the real, I would say, landmarks for us is the is the Bison commercial.
Okay.
Like everyone in Poland knows this beer, and we created CG Bison, which is still on the screens. It's one of the, I would say, it's one of the longest campaigns, commercial campaigns in Poland.
Okay.
And we created the Bison, and we're very proud of it. And we are still creating new versions of it.
So, is there some Żubr also in The Witcher? That's, you know, just to mix everything.
I don't think so, but thanks to that, thanks to Bison, we became a real specialist on fur animals. So like last year, we created a great commercial for Citizen with the rabbit. If you look at our commercial reel, we have a lot of fur animals, and we love creating them.
Thanks to the Polish Żubr.
Yes, thanks to the Polish Żubr, exactly. And actually, Żubr is Żubr making off, and we very often show it to our potential client how we created this, and it really it's one of the best selling points when we show how we created Żubr.
Okay. Because one of the things is, I will definitely go back a little bit into your latest accomplishments in Platige Image and the contracts with Netflix and everything. But one of the things that is always a struggle for a lot of entrepreneurs is more of how you end up where you are rather than what you're doing right now. So that is one of the things that I also wanted to know, like, how did you really manage to, because let's put it this way, like Poland is, at least right now, it's full of video gaming companies and companies that are really good in visualization and animation. So how do you really put yourself into this unique position to be able to, you know, like have all of these successes and all of these projects?
You mean like generally as Poland or as a gaming sector, or like a Platige Image?
Let's just say both, because I see a lot of people, the moment everything comes back to, oh, this is Polish, so they just go back to like British solutions and American solutions, and barely somebody just try to find somewhere, you know, into their own neighborhood.
I would say that there is something, I'm not saying it's special for Poland, but I would say that Polish people are really very entrepreneurial. And when the communists collapsed and the government, like the new government allowed to create companies, they were like created like crazy. They were like the private sector was really booming, and even today, a lot of graduates, university graduates, asked what they're gonna do. A lot of them is saying, "I will set up my own company." And I know I read somewhere that this like percentage in Poland is really high comparing to other countries. So I would say that we are really entrepreneurial in Poland, and at the same time, of course, when the economy is like created from the scratch, and some sectors are created from the scratch, you have much higher chance of winning. But it's not, of course, like it's not enough. At the same time, like my personal experience showed that the most important thing is like really not giving up. I mean, you will face a lot of successes, but you will face failures as well, and kind of consistency in getting to your like targets and getting to in executing your plans. And I think that when you realize that like failures are like a normal let's say points in your life, and they can also give you some lessons, I would say it's half of the success. And of course, it's not easy, like to sometimes to get new motivation after I don't know, your business goes bankrupt, or for example, some of your plans are not successful, or you've made wrong assumptions, and but if you learn that is just a normal part of life, I think that's most important for future success. When I was mentoring startups, a lot of students and a lot of startup founders, they focus too much on their idea. They think that the idea is the most important thing, and they try to hide it below the table. They try to like not to show it to anyone, even not to tell anyone what they are doing, thinking that everyone who will notice what they are doing will steal the project, will steal the idea and create something. No. Of course, there are some like technological projects with some advanced patents or something like that. Yes, but it's really a small portion of projects. In most cases, the chance that someone just grabs your project and does the same is very low, because it requires really time, dedication, and let's say it's all about execution. It's all about execution. So it's something which was like growing in your head for a long time. It's when you think how complicated it is to set up a company, like to employ and to employ people, to get the first clients. It's it's not so easy, and I wouldn't be so much afraid about talking about your ideas to others, unless it's a really technological breakthrough. So sometimes, of course, there are these ideas which you don't reveal, but in most cases, it's all about execution. And I really, at some point, I noticed, I realized, like the power of networking, and the power of asking people about potential clients, about how solving things or solving problems in your company, like trying to use the knowledge, like free advice of people in startup organizations, for example, or just mentors, or also like business partners. Like, don't be afraid to ask questions. Asking questions saves time, because people usually give you answers. And
and sometimes they are good answers.
Yes, and sometimes they're good answers. Sometimes they're good answers. And of course, you cannot plan everything, but planning is really important, and Excel is really important. Is really important.
Is it also right if I will say that planning is not that
Excel
important?
is not a business plan. Yes, Excel is not a business plan, because a lot of people think that Excel is their business plan. No, Excel helps you not to spend too much money.
Yeah. Do you also agree that sometimes it's more important to have a master plan than a plan, especially when it's a startup? Because, even let's just say, not to just go that far from the topic. I mean, the fact of we usually have events that you're sitting right next to me, and now even though we're in the same city, we have to be, separated. So
yes.
If our plan was supposed to organize an event face-to-face, then basically what we had to do is to cancel everything till further notice. But the reality is that our master plan is to help entrepreneurs with spreading information and try to bring like-minded people next to each other. So let's just say the plan changed, but the master plan stays the same. And
Yes.
you know, that is one of the other things that sometimes I also really feel entrepreneurs spend too much time on a very rigid plan that it can change in any second.
That's true. That's true. You know, the only sure thing is uncertainty. And
yeah,
that's
during the time of Corona, you have to basically just put it on top of every door, you know.
Exactly. And you know, the situation changes really quickly. Especially the market situation changes really quickly. I also have one conclusion from running different businesses, that one thing is not really changing very quickly, which is technology. People think that technology changes very quickly. It's not true. Even if you think about like coding or like different apps, you had like PHP as a coding tool 15 years ago, and you still build applications in PHP. Although
I was doing it last
10
night.
years
So.
ago, I was starting, switch to something else and so on. And I built a really very efficient application for running for loyalty programs with really strong e-commerce factor on PHP, and it was really cheap and very effective. So technology doesn't change so quickly. The market changes quicker. The real like changes in consumer behaviors, and the last 20 years you had so many turnarounds in consumer behaviors.
So how did you really try to contact your customers? Because from like running one of the biggest banks in Poland to a publishing company to a company that is doing the visual effects, there are very different type of customers. So how did you really contact the customers and then later try to get to know them?
Yes, I was always in B2B business. So in the bank, when I was a broker, I was talking to my clients were institutional clients. Then in school books publishing, it's a really B2B market. So you don't sell school books to children; you really sell them to teachers and schools. So and also here in Platige, we talk to either to game developers or to film studios or to any brands. So we really we're really like a B2B company, and it's always the same in B2B. It's about relations. It's about of course, like the quality of the product and the relations, and client service, and so you need to answer the customer's needs, and they are the same all the time. You need to solve your client's problem, and you need to you need to serve them in the way that they feel satisfied and they keep their dignity. It's very important. I'm really like building a relationship. It's a long process. That's why B2B business is completely different from B2C. Yes, because in B2C, you know, it's like a wave sometimes coming, and in B2B, it's like a slow climbing on the hill, slowly like convincing the client to your solution, and sometimes not giving up, trying, and sometimes coming back with improved solution. I had this case my first presentation to the client in my startup in Incentive Solutions. I remember we met Coca-Cola, and the application didn't work, although we checked everything before. Of course, we panicked at the beginning, but later on we said, no, we will come back to you like in 2 weeks, because there must have been a technical problem, and we did that. And everything went fine. So so it's not like when you're making mistake, or when your offer is not accepted by the client, it's not the end of the world. And I mean, probably you focus on that too much, and much more than your potential clients. So it's always, you should always try to come back with some improved offer, ask what was wrong. Like, once again, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. You should just openly ask what was wrong, and just give a call to the client or to potential client after a meeting. So because we focus too much on our failures, I think, sometimes, and that stops us from trying again.
Sure. Do you think the education in the university really prepares students for these challenges, or this is something they have to find themselves, getting prepared in the middle of the work?
I can say about my university, I believe my university prepared me for these challenges, and because it was very practical and really focused on let's say applying the knowledge. And in my case, I really think that my university helped me. But I know that there are some universities focus too much on theory.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for me, one more thing about the university. It's not like, of course, you can be very successful entrepreneur without graduating from university. And I think that university is a good networking place. It's also a place where you can exchange ideas. But for some people who are really business oriented, it's also a waste of time sometimes. But for me, I mean, it was very important, and I would do this once again. I would graduate from university and start working there.
Do you think right now that all of the, let's just say, human behavior somehow become more and more online, and all the solutions are online? You really feel students are going to have the same education if they go to some online courses or Coursera of some sort?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Okay. Because like we literally right now are having let's just say, one of the biggest misses in the market, because for a very, very long time, people, when they wanted to have a video conversation with each other, they literally would say that let's Skype. That literally became somehow a dictionary of some sort. But now we're using Zoom, and people are kind of like putting their Skypes out of their system to have more space for their Zoom application. So because, like you exactly mentioned the same thing regarding, first of all, understanding what your customer wants, and at the same time understanding the trends. And Microsoft is not a small company. So how do you really feel that a company in the size of Microsoft and the smallest startup in the scale of Zoom, one of them can dominate the market and the other one just have to, sit down and just see another company is just taking all of the market?
I think that the big companies, huge companies, they lose their innovative approach. And although they have like piles of cash, they can finance any project, they just become slowly thinking corporations, and they are really there are no decision makers. The corporations are really risk averse, and that's very visible when you are a startup and you're trying to get a deal from a corporation, from a big company. Usually the main problem is that your counterparty, the people in the corporation, they are afraid of signing up with a small company. Everyone is afraid of making a mistake. That's the problem of large corporation. So they try to use everything correctly according to business books. They just prepare a plan. They analyze the market, and it takes time. And before they improve their product, something new emerges and then becomes a standard. Yeah. So that's the case. I think that the large corporations are really slow.
I mean,
of course they are big, and
yeah. I just want to say, not to make it black and white. I would say for the past 20 years, I always hated the Internet Explorer. And anytime for me, they literally would just say Internet Explorer is the application you use to download Google Chrome, or even back then Netscape or Firefox and everything else. But a few days ago, I downloaded the new Microsoft Edge. And I'm just going to tell you, as a person who hated it for decades right now, I will say I love it. And I totally recommend using it. Because first of all, it somehow imports all of your data from Chrome. And then after that, it adds so many different interesting things to that was a huge jump from my point of view. So I'm very surprised right now.
But they understood that after like losing all the market, that I had complete the same kind of thinking as you had, because I remember very well this switch from Microsoft Explorer to Chrome, because I had a web page at that time, and I was really studying analytics very like all the time, and I was showing that the share of Google Chrome was really increasing like crazy, and Explorer was. So I very well remember that. And of course they draw conclusion, but it's too late. So now, in fact, they have to promote the product once again. It's like they were entering the market from the scratch. So of course, the company, the big large companies, they can create things, but sometimes they are too slow. You know, I was a big addict of BlackBerry phones, of smartphone, and I had my first BlackBerry in like 2006 or 7. I was working in the bank yet. It was 2006, and I loved it from the first moment I started using that. And I still think it's one of the best things. Of course, it still exists because I have 1 or 2 devices, but I dropped BlackBerry 2 years ago. I bought yet Key One, or which was already Android phone, and it was not BlackBerry, so I dropped it. But this is the case of a company which had a great product, which was really advanced, and it was a very powerful tool, but they completely ignored the signals from the market, that the market needs something simpler, and then the media consumption is more and more important for people. That people want to carry their cameras. They need a camera in the phone, quality camera in the phone, and they disappeared, although the product was really brilliant.
And at the same time, security-wise, as a person who used to work in the IT departments and in the security part of that, it was impossible to convince an IT manager to switch from BlackBerry to anything else. But I mean, if you really take a look at the managing of the BlackBerry, I think that should be like a book of its own, you know?
Yes.
One of the things that I also remember, they put Alicia Keys as their brand ambassador. And that was one of the funniest things. They literally just teach you in the marketing classes that so Alicia Keys went to Twitter and tweeted that I love BlackBerry and this new BlackBerry is the best ever. One thing she didn't know that Twitter would put a metadata of how you uploaded your information, and she uploaded it with her iPhone. So yeah, the ambassador of BlackBerry, in order to say how much she loves her BlackBerry, she was using her iPhone.
Using your iPhone, yes.
Well,
so
also,
I was, yes, I was trying to use two phones for a while, but finally I switched to iPhone. And I still miss BlackBerry because it had a BlackBerry keyboard and the prediction keyboard. Even in these new BlackBerries, they had a very good soft for prediction keyboard, which was really brilliant. And it's actually, they should be selling that as an application in the App Store. So that would be probably.
As a person who is also right now is massively into the, let's just say, hardware side of that, because a big part of visualization and graphic design is a hardware side of it. So are you like a Mac based or you're like Microsoft based?
Mm-hmm. I also there is also an example of MacBook. I think a really breakthrough moment for MacBook was Microsoft Office for Mac, because a lot of people were not using MacBook because they couldn't open Excel files. Of course they could, but there were problems with compatibility, with opening files, saving, and so on. And finally, when the synchronization started to work, and then there was an Office for Mac. I think it was a really breakthrough moment, and a lot of people switched to Mac, and it's thanks to that, thanks to opening to Microsoft, Mac really won.
Yeah. What about the company? Like, do you have like your own solutions for your video production, or you're just outsourcing it to other companies?
Of course, there are like some world standards in animation. I talk about tools, and there are some programs like Maya or Houdini used by people working on the computer graphics. But of course, we have like our internal software, which we call it Pipeline, which helps us organize all the production, as it's a quite complicated process, and it's necessary when you run a couple of projects at the same time, and I would say it doesn't sound very artistic, but we are like when it comes to animation production, we are organized like a factory a little bit. Yes.
I mean, I can imagine.
So of course, like there are directors and art directors who work on the artistic side of the project, but then at the same time it's a lot of physical work where you need to click a lot, and of course, like putting all the puzzles together, it's most difficult part of it, and it's very similar to like creating creating clothes. Yes. First you create bones, then you create the skin, the clothing, the light. Of course, a very important part of animation production is rendering. To get a 3D look of animation, you need to render it, which means it goes through very powerful servers, and you need a lot of computing power to produce animations. That's why like producing animation is still very costly, and I would say it's a business with very high entry barrier. Of course, I'm not talking about the simple animations, simple 2D animations, but with 3D, you really need a lot of computing power, a lot of people to produce animated short. If you take, let's say, this like typical cinematic we're producing for game premieres, like 3-4 minutes cinematic, there's usually around 100 people working on that. And yes, and the cost is about $1 million. Yes. So
for my previous edition, we didn't manage to go with the Zoom, so I tried to do some just some graphic enhancement with Adobe Premiere. And so imagine it was a 1-hour video that based on the tone of the speaker, there was some like visualization, something very simple. Then I tried to export it with 4K with my computer. And then I saw that it took me 150 hours to do rendering with my computer. So
yeah, yes, that's why, you know, of course, everyone, we work on that as well. It's like real-time rendering, real-time engines.
Real-time rendering.
Yes, real-time rendering. So you have game engines like Unreal Engine. Yes, you have a lot like Epic Games offered its game engine as a let's say open source tool. So you can create games, but you can also create animation with Unreal Engine. Of course, you won't get yet this quality of rendered animation of photorealistic, but it's developing very fast. And the Epic Games, they have revealed a promotional video of of Unreal Engine 5, which is going to be released at the end of this year, and it offers a really very good quality real-time animation, and that may be something which will completely change the animation production. Maybe it will not happen as soon as some people think, but of course we're preparing for that change as well.
Is it like this David Cameron, yeah, the for the video production, the one they used for the what was the movie Avatar? Was it the same technology?
Yes. Not really, but it's like it's similar. And what's but of course it's this technology is used in filming right now. When you let's take The Mandalorian, the Disney show. It was shot with the use of virtual scenographies, and they were with the use of Unreal Engine. So that's the future of filming as well. That's something we are also working on. So you will be able to film in a studio, but no one will recognize that it's filmed in the studio, because the virtual scenography looks so real, and it can work with the camera, giving a perspective, and then you won't recognize that the actors are filmed in the studio, because the scenography behind them looks so natural. Yeah. And there will be more and more movies filmed that way, and that's the technology we're also working on right now.
Also, The Irishman was unbelievable.
Yes, that's that. But at the same time, it was very costly. Like the budget was $180 million, but it was really unbelievable. Yes. Wow. Yes, that I completely agree with you. Like generally, the visual effects are costly, and that's why if you have the films with lots of visual effects, the budgets are really high, because it's still time consuming. It still takes a lot of people to produce visual effects, and to create all these magic creatures and explosions. Of course, it's much cheaper than like exploding a real castle. Yeah?
How many companies were behind The Witcher?
You know, for the visual effects, there are 5 companies, and if you take into account the length of the material, because it's like 8 episodes in the season, 8 one-hour episodes in the season. So you have, it's like 4 full feature films produced within 6 months. So it wouldn't be possible for one company to produce all the visual effects for the so much packed with visual effects film. Yeah, that's why it's like a big project.
Do you want to also put us through the whole process of from the idea of The Witcher all the way to being published on Netflix?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we started The Witcher story with the of course with the CD Projekt game, and that CD Projekt was yet a small company starting with and developing The Witcher, and we were already starting with the animation in Platige Image. So I would say that the CD Projekt was our first client for animation, and we have produced the first trailer for the CD Projekt game. And at the same time, the director of the trailer, Tomek Bagiński, who's our famous artist, he was also a writer, and he was writing his text to Fantastyka, a Polish magazine for fantasy lovers.
Yeah.
And he knew, and he became friend with Andrzej Sapkowski, who was the author of the saga. And at one point, it was like 6-7 years ago, Tomek realized that it would be a great story for a movie. And the first idea was to produce a movie, like full feature film. There was already a film made in Poland with low budget. It was not accepted by the fans. I would say there were a lot of jokes about that film, but of course it brought some more attention to the Witcher IP, and at the same time the game was becoming more and more popular, and we started to seek for the opportunity to produce a movie, talking to some Hollywood studios, but these were not easy talks, and at that time the game was becoming more and more popular, but still it was the IP was not as strong that the Hollywood studios would go for it in a second. And at the same time, Netflix was becoming more and more powerful and looking for new projects, new ideas. And we teamed up with one of the LA studios, HiveMind, and brought the idea to Netflix, and they liked it. And they said, well, it would be a nice idea for the series.
What do you mean by idea? Did you had a pilot season or pilot episode, or?
You know, we had a script for a full feature version, but this was more or less the time when the series became real drivers for platforms. And Netflix suggested that it could be a series, not a full feature film. And we realized that it could be a great idea, and that it's a chance to get to a big number of viewers. So we signed a deal with Netflix, and we became the executive producers and VFX house for the special effects. And it was a good decision, yes, because it was signed in 2017, so 3 years ago, and it was exactly the time when Netflix started to become a real, like a global player. And I think that the first ideas were to produce maybe something with lower budget, but they quickly have decided that it would be a big budget show. And as I think they liked all the Witcher universe. And of course it was quite a long process from signing up to launch of production. It was almost 2 years.
At the beginning,
and the shoots started late 2018, and the shoots took place until June last year, and then 5 months for post-production for special effects. And
you started in Hungary or in Poland?
Sorry?
You started in Hungary or in Poland?
The film was shot. The first season was shot in Hungary, as there were no large studios in Poland, and so the film was shot in Hungary, and later on the post-production took place in these 5 companies. 4 of them are from London, and we are from Warsaw. And Tomek Bagiński, who is the executive producer, he was on the set all the time. He was a consultant, and he was really trying to monitor the consistency of the story with the spirit of The Witcher and the spirit of the Slavic, let's say, Slavic world. But of course, the story is directed to global audience, so it has to be universal. So it grasps from Slavic spirit, but it's the same, really very universal.
Yeah, one of the things about Witcher was always the fact that everybody could somehow relate to it, while it was not as let's just say in the same league with the Marvel or the DC, that somehow all the audience were somehow getting used to it. So
yes,
another thing is also
I think that it's a really great superhero story, but at the same time, the choice of the main actor of Henry Cavill, I think, was really a great choice, and Henry Cavill is doing the job. He's the Witcher.
Do you think people would right now know him as the Superman or the Witcher?
Well, for me, he's the Witcher, yeah. But I think we have second season in front of us, and I believe there will be more seasons as the audience loves The Witcher, and there were Netflix revealed the numbers. They rarely reveal the numbers about the number of viewers, but they revealed the numbers at the beginning of January. That's 70 million viewers. So the film. I think slowly he will be the Witcher.
I think he was also the highest paid actor by playing a Witcher. So
That's something which was, of course, not revealed to the public. But of course, I think he's worth any penny, no matter how much he has here. I really he brought this. I would say. He's like exactly touching I think the spirit of Spikovsky's thinking, and he's also a big fan of the CD Projekt game. So he's the fan of the Witcher game as well. Yeah. Although these are two separate projects. Yes, there's the CD Projekt game and the Netflix series. That two separate projects. They were not, let's say, coordinated in any way. There's like there are two separate projects, but by two separate producers. And of course, but it's the universe. The Witcher universe is influencing I think the film is influencing the game sales and the opposite.
Can I say somehow just Tomek was the connector between these two universes to some extent?
Yes. And Tomek is a real expert in the Witcher universe, and I think he connected both universes and
also this lady who was supporting the script part of it. I forgot her name.
Lauren.
Yeah, yes. Because
yes,
seriously,
and Lauren is doing a great job as well.
the idea of literally reshuffling the books of The Witcher, because another thing also some people might not know exactly is that the last Witcher book is not that old. So
yes,
maybe Witcher started a long time ago, but also Spikovsky is still, he's writing. And
yes, he's writing.
Yeah, and the fact of shuffling it is amazing.
That Spikovsky, he really started writing quite late. He was a sales agent, and he was working selling some textiles, if I remember well, and so he really his writer's career really started very late.
Yeah, still pays off. So
yes.
Yeah, there was also lots of controversies around Witcher game and Spikovsky. I just want to know, do you know his opinion about the movie?
Well, that's something I wouldn't like to comment, and I think that's an old story and something between the author and the game developer, the CD Projekt.
I mean, I'm in Poland for a very long time, and one of the first things that I came here and I learned is that come and complain. So it doesn't matter how the quality is, in the end, it's never good enough. So
yes, that's correct. That's something very Polish.
It's like, okay, so Witcher is the most prestigious game in the world, but still it was not as good as I was expecting it to be,
It's like it's when I listen to our artists, when they create something, when we publish a film or something, they always have something to complain about, even it's a huge success.
Even like the palace that it was featured in The Witcher. When you really want to compare it to the palaces that you have in the Game of Thrones. So both Spain and Croatia, they literally started the whole tourism around the castles that they were in the Game of Thrones and everything. And I was just looking around, and I don't even know one tour that basically would bring people just to see the castle in The Witcher.
Ogrodzieniec, yes.
Yeah.
You are right.
Even though it's really out of this world. I mean, this palace is like, even without the visual effect, I would say it is, enough inside the whole, world of The Witcher.
Yes, you are completely right. I agree with you. We are really not exploiting that at all.
But where do you think we can fix it? Because even I remember there were some people after, especially the success of Web Summit in Portugal, they were just saying that, oh, we have to start making some campaigns to bring like a conference as big as Web Summit to Poland. And you know, I'm an event organizer and also connected to lots of different people. And I was like, guys, hypothetically, you want to organize it in Warsaw. Like, where do you want to organize it?
Maybe it's still because it's very fresh, and when the COVID situation occurred and started in March. So I believe that Krakow travel agencies will organize excursions to Ogrodzieniec Castle, as it's not far from Krakow, and I think it's gonna happen.
I mean, I hope so. That's one of the points for me. Like, one of the things that makes Poland successful is that, like, Poland is like a car on the top of the hill. I mean, you just have to push it. But if you just take a look at the people sitting in the car, just sitting in a car, a person who pushes, it really pays off. So
yeah.
Even like if you really look at it, I mean, I don't want to be so patriotic or whatever, but like, Hungary is Magyar. It's like, it's not a Slavic. And if you really want to say that you want to bring the Slavic nature and that's why you shoot things in Hungary, that's a bit of a question to some extent, right?
But still Tomek was there, and we were really like working on also consulting scenography, clothing, and everything. I don't know if you know, but one of our artists, Michał Niewiara, he created the title sequence for The Witcher and the Witcher medallion, this is something watched by millions of people, and it was created by one of the artists from our studio, who is our Witcher professor. He even knows more about The Witcher than Tomek. He can answer any question on any book. So he was the right person to create this title sequence. Personally, I love it. The wolf, the medallion is really a masterpiece, and so it's nice to create something which is then watched by millions of people and becomes known everywhere. You know, when I was in LA in February, yet before the lockdown, a lot of the buses, or most of the buses in LA, were with the Witcher poster, with the Witcher billboards. Yeah. So
nice.
That was really nice to see that.
Is it just going to the Netflix pocket, or it also brings back something to the actors and the producers?
You know, that's of course Netflix wouldn't put so much attention and marketing power to the show if it wouldn't be good, and if they wouldn't believe in that. Yes, because this is a really nice show, and people love it, and I think that everyone is waiting for the second season.
Yeah.
The second season is shot in UK, in Great Britain, in our Birdfield Studios.
Okay.
And I was there yet before the shoots, when they were building all the scenographies. So lots of like medieval village, lots of like inside rooms of the castles are built there. It's a lot of actors like Henry Cavill, they come from London, so it's and the VFX companies. So logistically, it's also much easier to locate this production in United Kingdom. And of course, like COVID stopped everything, but I hope soon.
I think besides Michał, most of the actors, at least the known actors, they were all British, right?
Yes. Most of the actors are British. That's correct. That's why it's more practical to have the production facility in the United Kingdom.
So it was like the Maciej Musiał. Yeah.
Maciej Musiał.
Yeah. So,
yeah, Maciej had a very nice role. Unfortunately, he died.
But then you killed it not to go to the UK, right? Just,
yes.
Is that a part of the Brexit scenario, or?
Well,
all the British actors are alive and the Polish actors die, so it sounds a bit strange, you know.
I must ask Lauren why it happened.
Yeah, just like why none of the British actors died, you know. It's just like yeah. So look, because to be honest, we can, let me just also finish this part because it's also very important. So is there any specific date for the two things? Maybe for the like The Witcher season 2 is going to be announced, and at the same time it's going to be recorded. Are there any dates?
No, not yet. Like due to the COVID, of course, like all the sets in Europe were stopped, and so of course, like all the filmmakers are really like following government's instructions. So probably when the situation eases, it will restart quickly because everyone is waiting for that. So probably they won't wait too long. We are also like preparing for the second season with the VFX team and already making some preparation job. But of course, for us, like the base material is the film, is the like video. So we are waiting for that.
Also, another project that I know you were involved and I really loved it was Love, Death and Robots. And like that was something that, let's just say, it was even more like a visual effects and ideas rather than even acting. So because especially, let's just say, the ones that you were working is one of those very memorable episodes. Maybe first you can talk about the episode a bit and also how the idea came, and then we can just also talk a bit more about that.
I also like, we've produced one of the episodes of the Love, Death and Robots series, which is called Fish Night, and the Tim Miller and David Fincher from Blur Studio, they've received a proposal from Netflix to produce anthology of animation and of animated shorts, and they've decided to invite animation studios from all over the world to produce certain episodes of the series. And they liked very much. And one of our artists and directors, Damian Nenov, he produced a short in Platige Image, which was called Paths of Hate. It's about really developing of the development, and it's really like a result of the style Damian developed with Paths of Hate and Another Day of Life. We were not responsible for the script, for the story. We created like the visual work, but it's said to be as one of the most beautiful episodes in the whole series. I really like this style, and we really received a lot of congratulations and proposals to produce some other things after this Love, Death and Robots premiere. And although it's a short, it's only 8 minutes, but it took a year to produce it because there were really a lot of artistic discussions about the look, about what techniques we are using. So it was not like a quick job. It was really like detailed work.
Yeah.
And we're really proud we were part of Love, Death and Robots.
it's that, and also another one. I think Viking is also just recently had a new season released, right?
We in case of Vikings or the Rain, we were working just on the trailers. We were not involved in the movie production. But recently, one of the big things we produced were Apex Legends series. You know, Apex Legends is one of the most popular games globally right now, and we received. And we produced two shorts, and they were really watched by millions of fans, and also with the, I would say, a little bit similar style to Paths of Hate, and Damien was the director as well, and I think we will be directing into this, let's say, direction of animated series connected with the big computer game brands. As you know, it's really like all if you create a universe and people play a game, they want to have a movie, they want to have a series. And they really want to be deep in this universe.
Yeah, it's kind of maybe the same thing also with what was this the Chinese novel, the Three Body Problem. Yes, that one also.
Three Body Problem.
Yeah, because that's also.
We have yeah.
Oh, yeah, explain.
We produced a theatrical show here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when I was even looking at it, let's just say it has a lot in common with The Witcher, because most people who do not know let's just say the local culture of the country, they might think that they cannot really relate to the story. But when they start reading the book, they really feel like it's so easy to relate, and at the same time, it is not repetitive. It has a taste of its own, and it has the mystery of its own that you would understand it comes from the culture of the writer.
Yes, I totally agree. It's actually the most popular sci-fi book by Chinese author. Barack Obama gave a real boost to its sales because he read the book and he said that it's great. It's a great book, and it became really popular. Although it was really popular in China, and we've produced one of the innovations we have developed in Platige is so-called 3D live theater. We've developed a technology which is like mixing real theater sonography with a digital one. And when you wear the glasses, like you have a really effect. Oh, of course, it's very hard to describe with words. You would have to see it, and you would have to wear 3D glasses to really see it. But it's really beautiful.
Do you have any platforms to test it, or?
What we do is like we have really very strong team of artists who understand technology in Platige. So that's why except films, except The Witcher, we also work a lot on the, for example, theme park attractions. Like we produce 3D theme park projections, or we've produced a film which was seen by millions of viewers in one of the most popular Warsaw museums, which is the film is called City of Ruins. You can see that on YouTube, the City of Ruins, and it's showing Warsaw annihilated by after the Second World War. It's on 2D on YouTube, of course, but in the museum you could see it with the 3D glasses, and everyone who watches the film is really like touched by that. So I would say that we are real specialists in like touching emotions.
And also the history of Poland, also the what.
Yes. Yes, so it was not easy to pack 1,000 years of history into 5-minute animated film, but Tomek did it, and that was the film produced for the when Poland was joining European Union, and when we joined EU and started develop, it was shown at one of the expos, and so the museum attractions or museum digital attractions are also one of our, I would say, specialties.
Another thing you also did, and it was really interesting, was I think it was in Sebit, that it was for the Polish booth, and it was like somehow like a visualization between music and those guys. Maybe you can explain it, because it was very out of this world experience. Like these things, playing with the music, and then there were some things in the background and the evolution. Because one of the things that I think we also really need explanation is also the fact that Poland is really one of the biggest powerhouses for the gaming globally. So yes, lots of games were developed in Poland that even maybe some Polish people are playing, but I'm not sure if every single one of them know that the development is right, like next to the place where they live. And that was a very interesting visualization of showing, all the powers of all these things that are happening in a very interesting, small video.
I think, of course, the success of CD Projekt and The Witcher was a real boost for the gaming industry in Poland. And of course, we had a lot of small gaming companies. They were operating locally, like producing usually low budget things. And when CD Projekt and then CA Games, they published games which became popular globally. Even the government understood that it's a serious business, and a couple of acceleration programs were created for gaming industry. One of the programs called Gaming is really they really financed a lot of gaming companies and development of gaming companies. And I follow the gaming sector on the Warsaw Stock Exchange, and it was a big surprise for me when I started to follow that most of these companies are really profitable, and they are successful. So the success rate is really very high in gaming in Poland.
And 99% of the startups fail. So
yeah, of course. I think also we have a good base for that, as there were a lot of good technical universities in Poland, and with a lot of really huge coding. Lots of people with coding skills, and that's something which helps. And of course, when you see success of CD Projekt, it's really helping. And what's important in gaming, when you set up a game development company, you're not really competing with the other game developers, because the market is endless. It's not like opening another restaurant next to a restaurant. Yes, you are working in a endless, in the market which is open, and the whole world is yours.
And in case that you don't have any job to do, you can start mining cryptocurrencies. So
yes, yes. Of course, that I was in a project before joining Platige to finance a movie with the ICO. Finally, I gave up the project, but as there were some uncertainties about the legal side of the instrument, if it's a sure or not, and but cryptocurrencies were let's say, were a potential financing stream for movies.
Yeah, as a person who kind of was involved in all of these sectors, like when people were talking about ICOs and they say it's crazy, the way they talk about it is that they say that there's only one piece of paper and then they will give them like $10 million. And that is crazy. But when you really take a look at it, when you just see the synopsis of Titanic, they give another piece of paper and they receive $100 million. If this movie is going to produce or is not going to be produced, it is also as much of a question as an ICO. And not all the movies that are being produced in the productions are always going to be end up in a cinema. Like one of the things, let's just say 100% you can say that it's going to be a success. For example, like is Louis C.K. He is a guy with millions of followers. He is an amazing director. He makes a movie, and I'm sure a production company paid for all of it. Then there is a Me Too movement, and then the movie never got aired.
You know, I think a lot of people do not realize how complicated process, how complicated and time consuming it is to develop and produce a movie. And I receive questions sometimes, wow, why don't you take this IP and go to Netflix? For sure it would be a success, they would buy it tomorrow. It doesn't work like that. They like the like thousands of movie proposals on the table, and you really have to come with something unique to get a serious financing. Of course, I'm not talking about low budget indie movies, because sometimes they are financed by some film enthusiasts or private money. And but if you are talking really about a serious movie or a series, the certain mechanism, and you have a huge competition for the attention of producers.
This 3D theater that you mentioned, in which museum did they put it exactly?
Sorry?
You said that you have this the 3D animation in the theater.
Oh yes. And this the City of Ruins is you can see that in the Warsaw Uprising Museum, of course.
Okay.
And
so now?
If you are in Warsaw, or any of you are in Warsaw, it's one of the best museums in Poland, very modern, and one of the attractions is our projection.
Very good. One of the things that just going back to our main conversation about the movies and the video games and everything is Lucas movies, like George Lucas. I mean, I'm always just baffled by how this guy works, because he was one of the first guys who started doing video gaming while also try to really like developing the whole game of movies and everything. How do you really feel, like, what is his signature? Like, why he is so successful doing things that nobody else dares to do?
Well, I think it's with Lucas. It's all about, I think, the Star Wars, and it became a religion. Yeah, Star Wars became a religion. It's even not a product, not IP. It's a religion, and so like a guru, like if you create a religion, you must be a really charismatic person.
True.
So then people buy all your ideas, or lots of ideas. Sometimes some creators, they have brilliant ideas, but they are too early on the market. Yes, and then some followers come with the same ideas, and they become successful. so there is no like a recipe for success. Sometimes if you're innovative, come with something new, you're successful. And sometimes you just repeat someone else's idea and you are successful. You have to be in the right moment.
Are we talking about Steve Jobs right now, or?
You know, Steve Jobs' journey was also very bumpy, I would say. Yes, and
especially the end
it's
part.
not all. You know, I read his biography, and that's a really fascinating book. I recommend it to anyone. It just shows the way of the entrepreneur. Of course, he was like a special person with a special skills, but at the same time, still facing a lot of failures and difficult moments, and so, like of course, like a touch of genius, but at the same time, some luck in his decisions. So, and of course, a lot of good people around him. I think the really important part of building a business is the team around it, and having right people around you.
Another thing also regarding Steve Jobs that not so many people talk is basically the role of Suzanne Wojcicki and also Steve Wozniak. There was a massive thing, and maybe not Steve, but at least Suzanne is like, you know, as Polish as you can be.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, but that's also very strange that how come some people with all of these impacts are not getting as popular as other people?
You know, because it's about I think it's about social skills, of course, and some there is something like charisma, and of course, I think you can learn it, but some people prefer to be like these quiet engineers sitting at the back seat, and they are really happy with creating the code or something like that, and they don't feel it very well in the Jupyter's light, and you know that's why we even really don't know if Steve Jobs was a good engineer. Yes, and we know
I
that
think we know that he was not a good engineer. Let's just put it that way.
He was not a great engineer, but he had this like skill of having good people around him, and at the same time he was really pushing them
to
and
the limit,
even squeezing them like a lemon to produce something.
I mean, if you really meet some people like Guy Kawasaki, that again, he was one of those guys who really had a big impact on Apple, then you really feel what charisma is, you know, like they can sell you everything. And you know, that's a really important skill that I really feel, because especially you mentioned all the like entrepreneurship skills in the Polish society and everything, but the whole factor of understanding that we are literally talking to people, not to machines, and they have souls, and you have to basically somehow nourish that part. I think maybe that's one of those things that is massively missing.
You know, but I think that of course we know, like from this biography or from different people's opinions, that Steve Jobs was not an easy person, and he was often offending people or like treating them really badly, and but sometimes even so badly that they were leaving the company and they were coming back. But of course, he was the leader. He was like trying to show the direction, and he was talking to people. And I think if any of you would like to create an organization, it's important to show the people the direction. And of course, sometimes you may have some doubts if it's a right direction or not, but it shouldn't stop you from talking to people and showing this direction. I think it's very important. It's very important that the team feels confident that the company has some strategy, and it's the idea is not enough. I mean, you have to create a spirit among the people of something that something great is going to happen in the next couple of years, and even if you make mistakes, even if something goes wrong, it's important to say to talk to people and say that everything can be put again into the right onto the right path.
Yeah. Another thing that again we discussed it, and I think it's a really important problem in Poland, is pricing. Like Polish companies don't put their prices properly, and also the social image is not justifiable.
Yes, that's correct. I think that's one of the dark sides of the Polish market as a whole, and not only like in my industry, but in a lot of industries, that it's so much price oriented. Everyone wants everything cheap, and like my current company, the Platige, we were facing this problem many times in Poland, that people were expecting us to sell something at like unreasonably low price, saying, oh, we can do that with freelancers and so on, and no, you could not. And the quality costs, yes, that the quality costs, and the right, of course, the right pricing strategy means that sometimes like your success will in long term depend on that, so that's why we feel more comfortable on the international markets, when the people understand what's behind the product we create, and what's the real input, intellectual input, what's the human input and the technological input into the project. Yes, I agree. I completely agree with you. This pricing aspect and this, let's say, low price expectation in Poland is something which is really like not allowing a lot of businesses to grow.
I mean, even taking a look at your approach of going all the way to Netflix, and then having a Polish idea but producing it in the UK. I really feel this spirit of, as you mentioned, approaching people, asking them, and not only asking them for a question, but also for money, but not only just your neighborhood, but rather globally. I don't know if this is a cultural thing or this is something that infrastructure is not there, but really, I don't know how we have to do something to somehow fix it, not for one person, but systematically.
I tell you something also, like one more thing here.
Yeah.
Like we are working with the like global game developers or global clients, and in the recent years, it's changing right now, but for the last couple of years, like some potential Polish clients, they had a problem with buying something from us at the price X, and they were buying with our like British or US competitor with the double price, and the same, let's say the same project, the same product. There was a kind of mental barrier. I will not pay a Polish company the same price I'm paying for a UK-based or US company, and now they are understanding that it's the same like quality, the same product, and even I would say even better quality. And we working a lot with Asian clients, with Japan or China, and although they have like their own like culture of doing the business, they like treated us like a vendor from America or United Kingdom, and we don't have these problems in these kind of business relations. In Poland, it's always an issue.
I think it has something to do with East and West, you know. Maybe because
Yes.
you're the east of the United Kingdom, you're an Eastern country. And when you're in the west of the Asia, then you're a Western country. So
Oh, maybe that's the that's the reason.
if somebody just convince people that the world is a sphere, so you basically, everybody is at the same time East and West, maybe those problems are going to be somehow solved, you know?
No, world is the world, the globe is a ball. Yes, there is no east and west.
I mean, I'm sure there will be some people right now listening and then try to convince us that the world is flat. But let's just, you know, just agree on this tiny little fact that, you know.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. Look, let's just also try to have some stuff that I would really want to ask you, just to somehow sum it up at the same time. You did a lot of interesting stuff. Another thing, I mean, you did so many good, interesting stuff that it's like, I think we need 2 more hours just to even touch it. Especially the ones that I was very much, interested to see it. And then later, I still even sometimes watch it again, was the project you had with the European Space Agency. And that was really iconic. But I just, as long as I said that also, let's just hope that tomorrow the launch of SpaceX and NASA is going to finally happen. Because, you know, I was really hoping that I'm just going to today would just say the result of it. But because it didn't happen, at least let's just, you know, like have fingers crossed and then see by tomorrow it's going to happen. I have to say that.
Yes.
I just wanted to ask, which one of the projects is your favorite, if you have a favorite one?
Yeah, I have a project which is not public, which is my favorite one. Unfortunately, you can see that only only in our office. We have created a 3D version of the most popular, of the best known Polish painting. It's the most known Polish painting is called Battle of Grunwald. Okay. It's a huge painting which is 16 meters wide and 3 meters high.
I've seen it. It's in the Polish National Museum.
Yes. And the Battle of Grunwald, it was the biggest battle of medieval Europe, which took place in today's northern Poland. It was the battle between Cross Knights and Polish and Lithuanian army, and we have created we have digitalized the painting, but it was like a manual job. Our artists were really like painting digitally painting, I would say. Every person from the painting, and it goes with some epic music. So it's really heart touching, and we want to prepare a VR version of that. So probably it will be possible to see that in VR very soon.
Wow! So is it like a personal thing, or somebody ordered it?
Yeah, and it was the museum ordered it for the 600th anniversary of the battle, which was 10 years ago. So it's actually a 10-year-old project, but it still creates emotions, and it's a great project.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things. I mean, you might not believe it, but I think it's on June 15th, and I had that conversation because when I see people in Poland are celebrating the end of the World War II, and I was like, why are you celebrating it? Like, the end of the World War II globally had a meaning, but in Poland, the end of World War II had no meaning, because still there was war in Poland, especially here in Warsaw, that, basically there was nothing happy or sad for anybody. Like, whatever, all the rapes and all the death and everything was there. But there is a huge thing that had a significant thing in the whole, let's just say, sustaining what you have right now as Poland. And you have the date of it. And if you say July 15th, I promise you. Oh, by the way, fun fact, 4th of July, everybody in Poland celebrates it. like
Yes.
July 15th, and I was like, what was happening again? You know, and you know, and it's Grunwaldzki. Is it a roundabout or this is a battle? You know, yeah. Very interesting. So
But
when
I
are we
really
going to see
recommend
your
the
hobby?
City of Ruins.
Pardon?
Yeah, I really like recommend, because you can see Battle of Grundwat on YouTube. It's like it's only like you can only have a private show in our office, but you could see the City of Ruins, yes, which shows
Yeah.
the Warsaw after the Second World War. So it's on YouTube.
So hopefully at some point this private show is going to find itself in some mainstream places. It's like also I remember the Cyberpunk like a year ago. So the only
Yes.
big thing about Cyberpunk was literally inside the CD Projekt Red office. So I don't know what is happening with you guys, but like you have to open up the doors to other people. You know, you have a lot of fans.
Yeah, we were even planning to open for the night of museums and to show something.
Yeah, but
I
not
think we'll do
anymore.
that.
Okay.
We're now rearranging some office space. We are located in the 19th century fort.
Wow.
And for example, our server farm is located in a 19th century bunker. So we have like free cooling.
Is
And
that people used to
really
torture each
thick,
other or?
really thick walls to protect it.
Nice. And also about the gaming part of that. So which game is your favorite one?
Well, to say the truth, I know it's gonna be funny, but my favorite game is Tetris. Yeah. I really don't play like don't spend a lot of time playing games as I would probably like be addicted soon and spend a lot of time on that. But I love really the game which is called Insight, and I like it very much. And that's the last game I played.
Inside, okay. Yeah, longest stretch from Tetris, but yeah.
No. It was a joke with Tetris. I was like, I was having a Game Boy years
We have
ago, and I
all
was
been
like,
addicted to Tetris, so let's just, you know.
and I was wearing that in my pocket, so every moment, every moment I played Tetris. But no, I played Insight recently, and it's a really nice game.
It's really hard to believe that that was a game created by a young Soviet guy with like, you know, no equipment whatsoever and dominated the world. So
Yes.
I don't know if it's
That's
still
that.
this is the most downloaded game in the world or it's Minecraft, but I'm sure, you know, for a very long
Yes,
time it was
one of the two. Yes.
yeah. Very good. So look, thank you very much for your time. It was really great to, first of all, you know, like get to, you know, like know your opinion about all this matter. And at the same time, we're really looking forward to, you know, like see the 3D model of the Battle of Grunwald. That's something that, you know, like, you know, as a, let's just say as a painting enthusiast, it's just like the details in this painting and everything, it's amazing. And again, for people who are really interested, I'm even sure that there are some very interesting YouTube videos that they just put through every single character inside the, you know, in the animation, in the picture, and then try to just show, you know, who this person is and why this person was there. Also, just to be a little bit more historically accurate, let's just say Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, because, you know, I'm sure any Lithuanian, you know, like they also have as much, let's just say, sense of ownership about this whole thing as possible, and then, you know, like try to have it fair for all of that. If you have some other things to just, you know, say, I would be happy to have it, you know, as a final word.
Well, I'm really happy that as a Polish company, yes, we are not big, but we are global. Yes, I would say we are like working 24 hours a day with clients from Asia, America, Europe, and like this, the story of Platige like shows me and like shows everyone that everything is possible, that there are no borders, in fact. and it's like you just need to make a step forward and try. Yes, and I think that I graduated from foreign trade department, so I was trained to like go abroad and talk to international clients, but it's not a big deal. I mean, you just need to try. So if there are young entrepreneurs listening to us, like, don't be afraid. Just try. Go ahead.
Very good. Also, another personal thing on my side, also, I'm really looking forward to see if we can finally manage to buy the medallion of The Witcher, because we talked about it. Your version of the medallion for The Witcher is far better than the one in the book, and also in the TV, the game part. So
yes, like the rights that belong to Netflix, I must check with them why they are not commercializing it.
yeah,
yes,
keep one for me.
Probably I would have some. We ran out of them because I had some, but they were so popular, so they disappeared just after premiere, or like a few months ago. But I will ask them to produce some more.
Another fun fact also, if I want to tell you, in the end, I started this whole video part, and so I had a Witcher background in my bag, and my T-shirt was a Star Wars, and it was kind of white. So when I saw myself in the camera, then I said I have a floating head. That's why I just changed it from that to the Marvel part of that. So it just like, at least I will have some contrast with the background. So just because what you mentioned about the Lucas is a religion, and like I just wanted to say, I even came with my religious outfit, but unfortunately it was a little bit too sci-fi just to have a floating head, just roaming around.
So this white wall behind me is a real white wall. but I can show you like the posters. You mentioned the Ambition film.
Yeah.
This is the European Space Agency film we have produced. Actually, there is a funny story about this film. We were looking for a right location that could be the moon. Yes, and so we found it on Iceland, and we went to film the scenes there, and it started to rain. Of course, it doesn't rain on the moon, so it took a lot of post-production to remove the rain from from the video.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure that's also what happened with NASA,
Yes. So planning is important, but sometimes there are unexpected things happening.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Thank you very much for your time, and hope to see you around after this whole corona.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
See you.
See you.
Thank you. Goodbye.